What's up, everybody? Welcome to the ATL Sports HQ live show, the show for the fans, by the fan. This is episode 6. My name is Bullin' Bob. You can find me on Twitter. Hold on. I got to tell these people where to find me, man. I mean, it's not that hard. You just find me at Bullin' Bob, any social media stuff.
I'm ATL Phil. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at _ATL Phil. I've come out from my hiding, unfortunately.
I'm Daric Clemens. You can find me on Twitter at dclemens.
Awesome, man. You can follow the site at atlsportshq.com and ATL Sports HQ on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And also now the show can be found on all your major podcast sites. Thanks to our main man, Daric, for getting that done. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, pretty much any of the major 8 to 10 podcast sites you'll find us on now. So let's get the show on the road. Hate to start with the lowest of lows, but we got to roll with the Georgia Bulldogs to start this thing off today. Georgia again gave away a sure victory to Alabama, losing in the final minutes 35-28, and found themselves out of the national championship playoffs. Daric, man, I know you've been waiting for this all week long. What were the highest of highs and lowest of lows in this game?
The highest of highs was 95% of the game. I mean, they looked great. I mean, a couple flaws, a couple penalties that we couldn't have. But then, I mean, the lowest of lows is, you already know the story. It's going to keep going for a while.
I can't remember. Tell me.
Huh?
Can't remember. Tell me.
It all starts with a field goal. Rodrigo misses a 30-yard point-blank field goal. And he struggles to miss a 45-yard field goal on a normal day.
When Phil was on his social media hiatus, and you and I were in chat, and we're just like, calm down, everybody. But as soon as Rodrigo missed that field goal, you and I are like, that's that thing. It's just that one thing it takes. That's it. And I knew it.
Because I mean, that was the turning point right there. Because that 3 points would have put the game away, I think. I mean, never mind. I wouldn't say that.
Well, I mean, someone as automatic as Rodrigo. I mean, that's what was crazy. I don't think he's missed one within that range the entire season. It was just absolutely incredible. But I agree with you that, like I said, when that happened, you could just feel everybody's gut start to churn in the stands. And it was just, we knew this story. We've seen this story. We know how this goes around here. But Phil, what did you think were the highest of highs and lowest of lows?
Yeah, just they had a couple opportunities to extend it to a 3-score game, and it just didn't happen. But as soon as the field goal missed, I think I was driving, leaving school. As soon as he said no good, I was like, yep, that's the game right there. You knew it, and that's kind of sad, up 14. But you knew as soon as that happened that the game was over. And then we also know the other big turning point. But we'll get to that.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a thing as well. But, for me, the highest of highs was the performance of Jake Fromm in the first half. I thought he was phenomenal. It's the best that he's looked since he's been there, competent in the pocket. He was just making plays happen. It just seemed like everything was rolling. I thought the defense was just very physical in the first half. I mean, just punishing, got Tua, out of the game. They just looked like a team that wanted to win a national championship.
It looked like a good team.
Yeah, they hit the hardest I've seen. I thought that, they had a really good game plan. They used Isaac Nada, which I had mentioned as a possible, way to score, especially if Fromm was under pressure. He did a very good job of checking down. The running game was working very well, which will happen when you're able to check down to a tight end. But yeah, that, the highest of highs for me, but lowest of lows again. I mean, we can repeat it over and over, but as soon as Rodrigo missed it, I just knew. I was like, I knew. There was just no turning back from that. You know, and you kept waiting and you kept waiting for something to change it around, but then they quickly went down and scored, and I'm like, no, man, no way. This kid just can't keep happening, you know. It was unbelievable to me that you know, that he missed that. And he can definitely is one of those guys that he took responsibility. He knew what a turning point it was too. It crushed him. For someone that's just automatic, he'll go to the NFL, but he's such a good kicker. But, again, just a horrible way for him to, basically end his career with Georgia, other than the bowl game, which we'll talk about a little bit later as well. But my question for you, Daric, is if you were in Kirby Smart's shoes, are you calling that 4th and 11 trick play against Alabama?
No, I am not. But that is why I am not in Kirby Smart's shoes. I totally disagree with the play call. It looked like he got desperate. He started to feel it. He started to feel it coming. That deja vu started to play into his head. Man, he just got desperate. And I mean, I think he said after the game they've had that play all year, and they've been toying around with it. But I just don't think that was the time to do it. We had control of the game, of course. Yeah, it's 28-28. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, it was 28-20.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, was Bama on a roll? Yeah, they probably would have went downfield and just scored no matter what. But you can't just give them that field position. Not a Nick Saban team that's rolling like that.
Well, the punter too had done a pretty good job of, putting them within the 10-yard line. So there was a pretty good chance that we were going to pin them back. But it just showed like that, when, I talked about just, a few minutes ago about, punishing defense, you saw that all game long. And then because of momentum swing, you all of a sudden lost all confidence in your defense to make a stop.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. He just got desperate. He needed a play to happen. He wanted a play to go to our favor so we can get the momentum back. And the bad thing about that is now people are going to overlook the good job that he did. I mean, the game plan was perfect. It was perfect all around. We stopped Tua. He looked the worst he's ever has, and we might have lost him the Heisman Trophy right there because of how bad he looked. And, I mean, we just controlled the game, and Kirby Smart did amazing. And just that one questionable call could have cost us the game. But still, I mean, he does what he has to do. So
yeah, I mean, again, it's easy to sit on the sideline and say, oh, we could do this, we could do that. But, you're in the SEC championship game, which some people consider to be the title game, in general speaking, and you got to factor in too, this is the guy that really wants to beat the mentor. The student always wants to beat the teacher. I mean, but Phil, man, if you were in Kirby's shoes, are you calling that play?
Nah, no, there's no way I'm making that call. I mean, not on 4th and 11, maybe 4th and 5, but come on, this isn't a regular defense. This is Alabama's defense, and Alabama was ready for it. They were set up for it. I don't understand. I can't remember how many timeouts or anything were left, but as soon as you saw Alabama prepare for it, well, first of all, I don't know why you're calling it on 4th and 11 anyway.
They saw it too.
As soon as you saw the formation, even if that's your last timeout, you know it's blown up at that instant. You got to call a timeout.
Well, Kirby said that happened at the snap. There wasn't time to call a timeout. What happened was it was supposed to be a quick snap count. They waited, I think it was like an extra 4 seconds to snap the ball. And then within those 4 seconds, the receiver that the ball that, Alabama was able to pick up that it was a trick, moved into cover the eligible receiver. But you nailed it on the head, man. 4th and 11, how I factor a trick play in, is that if the trick play doesn't work and your go-to is covered, and you're going to use Justin Fields in that situation, you've got to be able to assume that Justin Fields will get 3 to 5 yards, and being able to rush out, But 4th and 11, you're asking a lot if the play is broken down. That's what I didn't understand. If I was in Kirby Smart's shoes, I'm saying no, I wouldn't call the play, but only because it was 4th and 11. If it's 4th and 5, I'm all about calling that play, especially with, Justin Fields' legs. I trust him to get 5 yards if the play breaks down. But like, again, when you're 10, 11 yards out, that's a tough play to make. And in those plays, you've got just one receiver you can go to. It's not like you're putting multiple guys out there to make it obvious that it's a trick play. But the other thing that I noticed with that is that, to me, as soon as I saw Justin Fields come on the field, I knew it was a trick play. I had no – what's that?
It was too obvious.
Yeah, I had no faith that Kirby wasn't going to call a trick play there. As soon as I saw him there, I was like, this is a trick play, and I can't imagine why they're doing this in 4th and 11.
Because I've never seen Fields come on it. Like, if you're going to do that, you have to disguise it. Sometimes throw Fields out there just to throw him out there or something.
Let the punter pass the ball. That, to me, is the best trick play. Have your punter throw it. No one expects that. I mean, when Justin Fields is out there, they're clearly on the lookout for something to happen, so.
Something I did not think that I would be saying this week, because I remember I preached it last week before the game, is I think we forced Justin Fields. I think we forced him onto the field. I don't even think he needed to run quarterback. I think Fromm was feeling it. He had the high hand, and I think we needed to keep the ball in his hands. And I think a couple of times, I think we let Fields run 3 plays, not counting the punt. And I mean, it didn't come of nothing really, but still.
Something that I really didn't plan to talk to you guys about, but I just want to throw this in real quick about Justin Fields. He was asked after the game about transferring, and he was awfully non-committal to staying at Georgia, as to where Jake Fromm sounds very committed to coming back for another year. Daric, you think Justin Fields might transfer out?
He's definitely not transferring this year. I mean, it might be questionable after the season next year, but there's no way he. I
mean, you got to figure, though, they've shown confidence in Fromm. He's only a sophomore too. That's the thing. And I don't think that Justin Fields is going to want to sit around again and lose eligibility, because he'll have to sit out the year unless he goes to junior college. But
I think that's why it relies on next year. I think it depends on what Jake Fromm ends up doing.
Kind of funny that I was thinking, boy, it looks like a certain, college in Atlanta might be looking for a new quarterback, depending on who their coach is hired, especially if, the Clemson offensive coach gets that job. We saw what he was able to do with Deshaun Watson. Could you imagine what he could do with the Justin Fields? But do you think there's any chance that he'll transfer, Phil?
Nah, I don't think he's going to transfer. They could wait it out one more year. I mean, they should have redshirted him, honestly.
Yeah, I'm surprised that I agree with that one. That you took the words out of my mouth. You should have redshirted him this year. They wanted to keep that option open of being able to use him within the offense for running. He really, other than I think two really big passing plays, I don't think he threw anything over 10, 15 yards the entire year.
I think Kirby wanted him to learn the offense. I think he wanted him to get that early chance to learn the offense, so he would be ready when he gets thrown out there.
I don't think they thought Fromm would be this good.
Yeah, he definitely had a decent season. I wouldn't say he had a great season, because that he had a few games, especially against LSU, that was terrible. So he did have a couple games, but I mean, he definitely performed better than I thought he was. But we'll move on to with the committee deciding that to not take Georgia into the National College Playoff. Did you agree with the committee's decision to take Oklahoma and Notre Dame over Georgia, Phil?
It's tough. It's tough. Is Georgia one of the 4 best teams in the nation? Absolutely. Do you have to reward Notre Dame for going undefeated? Yes. Do you have to reward Oklahoma for winning? Yes. So, I mean, it's tough. And, Georgia was on the verge of beating Alabama, which I don't think any other team will come close to. Maybe Clemson. I mean, Georgia is the 2nd or 3rd best team in the country. So, it's not fair, but it is what it is. You got to win your conference. But when we talk about Notre Dame, who Clemson is going to slaughter them, just they need to man up and join a conference.
Yeah, I agree. I think they should be forced into.
Which
Yeah.
conference? Would they win the Big 12? Would they win the Big 10? Would they win the ACC? Would they win the SEC? I don't know if I could say they'd win any of those.
I agree. It's funny. I went back and looked, and Notre Dame, as surprising to me, really didn't have that weak of a schedule this year. They played, I think, four ranked teams, 3 within the top 15. So it's not like that they played a super soft schedule. They've definitely played worse. But I agree, they didn't play a conference championship game, so you essentially just have to reward them for what they did, in the regular season. So, I mean, I pretty much had them in as a 3, but it's all speculation anyways. But Daric, you agree with this decision?
I mean, Georgia's obviously one of the top 4 best teams, but I guess they had to go this route. They had to just go ahead and reward Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma should be in it. Now, Notre Dame, I do not think should be in it, but because they don't have the conference championship, but they just thought that they had to throw them in because of that undefeated record. But
money, really.
Yeah. Well, that and what killed Georgia, honestly, I agree with the committee's decision. What killed Georgia was that LSU loss, while not looking bad at the time, ended up actually looking bad because LSU ends up losing 3, and they get blown out by Alabama, and that loss didn't end up looking good to the committee when you have to factor in that you didn't win a conference championship, and Oklahoma took care of their business. I mean, that's the. They ended up, they played Texas, and Texas had been on like a 7-8 game winning streak. So they came in really, really hot. And so, you factor in that Oklahoma, took care of the business. I think that's just it came down to the last criteria for that. And the last criteria was one team won their conference championship and another team didn't. Yeah. Obviously Georgia to me they are the second best team in NCAA. So it's unfortunate that they didn't get in. But would you be opposed to NCAA taking 8, Daric?
I like 6 better.
6.
I wouldn't be mad at 8, but I think it's starting to push it because
So would you take 1 and 2? 1 and 2 would get buys, and then 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 play each other, and then one plays 4, 2 plays 3.
Who's ranked 7 and 8 right now? Michigan and
UCF.
So yeah, no, you can't be putting 8 teams because you get to teams where they do not belong to be playing in that criteria.
Yeah, I mean, UCF begs to differ. I was talking to my wife about this, and I was like, I really wanted UCF to play Georgia this year in the bowl game because I want UCF. I'm tired of hearing UCF say, "Oh, well, we beat Auburn last year, so why aren't we considered in that talk?" And I'm like, "Bro, it's Auburn. Why don't you step up and play Georgia and let's see just how good you guys really are. Shut me up, But I don't. Do you know who did they get in the bowl game? Do you know?
LSU. And LSU's going
to LSU, yeah. Do you think LSU could beat them?
They should, but they're going to choke.
Yeah, I agree. And now we're going to have to listen to another year of UCF. I knew they were playing an SEC team, but we're going to have to look and listen to another year of UCF saying they deserve it. But when do they deserve it? If they beat LSU, you got to be thinking, hey, look, they beat 2 big SEC names. You can't say Auburn and LSU aren't big SEC names.
If they go undefeated again next year, we really got to have the conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know, though, because, it's who they played that season. It's that season. It's not, you beat LSU and Auburn 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm. At that point, we'd be talking about 35 games.
Maybe they need to, pick their non-conference games a little bit better, play ranked teams. And the problem is that all your bigger schools, they don't want nothing to do with UCF in a non-conference game. You don't want you don't want those guys on your schedule coming in and beating you and knocking you out of the playoffs. So, that's a problem that they're having is they're too good for their conference. But, and so it scares the bigger teams away from playing them. And so you don't get the respect that you deserve. But I mean, I think even if they went to 6, it would have been Georgia and Ohio State. So we still wouldn't have had the topic of UCF being in anyways. But so we know that Georgia is playing Texas in the Sugar Bowl January 1st. Daric, man, what's your score predictions?
I think we're going to take care of business. I think we're going to win comfortably, about 14 or more points. I guess get us a little trophy for this season.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they don't have a hangover from the loss. But I just that you always worry about that. But I think Kirby's good enough coach to not let that happen. So
we don't care when we play. He gonna have a team ready no matter what.
Yeah, Phil, what's your prediction, man?
Georgia wins easily. Well, if they. Because sometimes you do see that letdown. Like, dang, we should have been. This isn't where we want to be. But if they suit up, if they bring the right mentality, they'll win easily.
Yeah, I'm gonna sweep with you guys. I don't think it's even gonna be close either. I think Georgia's gonna take their frustration out on Texas, and again, if Coach Rick was still there, I think there would be the letdown. But Kirby Smart is too good of a coach to let that happen. And I agree with Daric. He will definitely have that team ready to go. And it could be interesting to see. I haven't seen much of Texas this year. I do know that they're very improved. And they had that. I think the coach from Houston took over that team, and he's done a really, really good job with them. So I think McAvoy is their coach. So, but yeah, he's been pretty good. So, well, let's jump on to Atlanta United talk. The Atlanta United with the upset over the Supporter Shield champs and -- seed New York. Huh?
Don't call it an upset.
I mean, they were lower ranked. But they did topple the #1 seed New York Red Bulls 3-1 in aggregate goals. What was the keys to controlling the second leg and securing their berth into the MLS Cup Finals, Phil?
Defense. Don't let them score. Now, yeah, it was 3-1, but that one was in like the last 30 seconds. It doesn't really count. But Atlanta United did what they needed to do. When was that now? All my days run together now. Last Thursday. Yeah, there it was. Last Thursday. Atlanta, like, whoa, they lost. But, it's not. Yeah, if you understand soccer, you knew what they were doing. They parked the bus. They loaded the defensive end of the field, and they were just determined to not let New York score. They let New York dominate possession. They let New York keep the ball. They let New York do what New York wanted to do, except score. I think they played it perfectly. They didn't go out there trying to just run the score because that could have gotten very dangerous. If you're not getting back on B, you're not defending the third, then New York scored 1 goal early. It's a whole new ball game. Especially if they would have scored 2, then they're only 1 goal away. So they did what they needed to do. And then congratulations to Joseph Martinez, today announced as league MVP. Nobody saw that coming.
Wasn't our guys like second too?
Miguel Almiron finished second in MVP voting. So yeah, we had the #1 and #2. And the reason why I said don't call it an upset, we're the most talented team.
I agree with you.
There at the end, but we dealt with a lot of injuries this year. And we dropped a lot of points late in matches. So honestly, we could have really had about 75 or more points. We are the best team in league history, and we got one more Saturday evening, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, to finish this thing off.
You touched on it really, really good. That the key to controlling the second leg was controlling the first leg.
Yep.
Do your business on the road. I'm sorry. Do your business at home and start put up as many goals as you can, and we'll then we're able to that's play defense, like you said, stand there like statues, don't let the ball go in the net. I mean, that was the game plan, just and it worked beautifully. They did a fantastic job on defense. New York even really, I mean, that goal came super late, didn't it? It was probably near the 90 minutes mark.
94th minute. So I mean,
I mean, it was
blow his whistle.
There was no doubt.
He was not happy at some of the defensive coverage there on that goal.
Yeah. Well, now we know that they will play the Portland Timbers, who I hate more than any other MLS team. Shout out to my Seattle Sounders people watching. What will the United need to do to beat the Portland Timbers and secure a long-awaited championship for the state of Georgia?
Just play your game. What they've done all playoff long. Just play their game. Don't get caught up in the moment. Don't panic. Because, time and time through this season, we have seen Atlanta United fade when the lights get bright. So they just have to come. They have to play their game. The crowd is going to be going bananas. You can't take chances. You just have to play your game. Because, you get out there, the crowd is just going insane. It might tempt you to try to attempt some shots that you wouldn't normally attempt. Can't go out there doing that. You got to stay calm, and also you gotta play some good defense. Portland has some really dangerous players in like Valeri and company, but you have to be careful because Portland has had a really difficult journey to get here. They went on the road in the knockout round and beat FC Dallas, a very good team. They took out Seattle Sounders, the number 1 team in the West, or the number 2 team in the West. And then they took out Sporting Kansas City, the number 1 team in the West. All 3 of those without home field advantage. So Portland deserves to be here. And they won the championship either 2 or 3 years ago. They went into Toronto and beat them for the MLS Cup. So Portland comes in here with a load of experience.
Well, they the other thing is that we talked earlier when we were talking about Georgia is momentum, and that how they, like you said, they've been rolling through these knockout rounds and then the quarters and semis and being the underdog throughout the entire time. And they have been rolling, and sometimes those teams scare me the most, those. Again, when you're playing with nothing to lose, then them are the teams that worry me the most. So
everybody expects us to win.
Yeah, I mean, and we should be favored. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Right. But the difference this time is that we will start in Portland, and
it's just one match.
Oh, it's just one match. Okay, nice. See, shows you what I know. That's why you're here on the show and I'm not. Now that's Saturday, right?
Yes, Saturday at 8.
Right on, man. Well, we'll definitely be watching. The next time we do the podcast, we'll know, is it finally our time here in Georgia to have us a champion? So I can't imagine the parade either, because as popular as MLS has become here in Atlanta, that could be one crazy party.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be insane.
All right, well, let's move on then. We'll head up to the Atlanta Falcons. Oh, man, it's just like talking about Georgia. Falcons lose yet once again to Baltimore, 26-16, to fall to 4-8, and now are essentially, if not already, eliminated from playoff contention. I don't think they're officially eliminated. It's probably
I saw someone paint the path. I was like,
yeah, it's like a 1% chance, but what did you see as being the reason the Falcons couldn't handle business again at home, Phil?
What words can I and cannot not say on here? Well, they couldn't get their head out their ass. The offense couldn't. Obviously, one of Matt Ryan's worst games in his career. And you know me, I'm an avid Matt Ryan supporter and defender. But he played a bad game. Now, you say 26-16, you're like, oh, okay, I mean, it's not too bad. No. It was bad.
Yeah.
He was like well into the fourth quarter with 91 yards. One of the touchdowns was a defensive touchdown, and another was a pretty much garbage time touchdown. So just really, really all around putrid performance from the Falcons. Lamar Jackson was out there looking like Michael Vick. It was just all around not a good performance. And with your backs on the wall, that's what you come out and do at home in your pretty much your last ditch opportunity to try to do something with this season, and that's what you come up with. That's not a good look. And also, we got to talk about how empty the stadium.
Well, we're gonna get there. I have that on the list of things. We'll definitely be talking about that here when we talk about the Falcons. But what did you see as being the reason they couldn't handle business again at home, Daric?
They just came out flat again. I mean, the run defense is terrible. I don't even think I've seen anything worse than this.
Where did Ito Smith go? He's disappeared from this offense over the last 3 weeks.
I don't know where he's been at. I mean, I don't know where the offense was that day. Julio Jones played terrible too. I mean, Calvin Ridley played terrible. Both of them dropping passes that they shouldn't be dropping.
I would venture to say that Calvin Ridley has regressed as a rookie from the beginning of the year, first I'd say first 5 games to last 5 games. He all of a sudden doesn't look like he knows the routes he's running. He's missed. I've seen him miss a route every single game so far in this losing streak. And like you said, they're just missing easy catches. I just don't get it. I mean, I with that much talent on a team to be losing games in the fashion that they're losing in, just looks like uninspired play. And I'm putting that on Coach Q. You got to get your team ready to go, whether you're winning or losing. Now, granted, Baltimore's, they're 7-5 now. They're not a bad team, but they've been playing really, really well under Lamar Jackson. And they made their defense look like it was the old Ravens defense of the 2000s. I was looking for Ray Lewis out there.
They look good. They look good. Yeah, I've said this before. Lamar Jackson's the best quarterback out of that draft.
Mm-hmm.
To that, but going back to that Calvin Ridley statement, I think it's kind of unfair. I just think he played at a really, really high level at the beginning of the season, and he looked like he was going to be amazing. I think he's still a rookie, so we just have to see it and play it out. I think it's unfair to downgrade his play.
When you're winning, everything looks great. When you're losing, nothing looks good. I mean, that's just kind of how it is. I mean, but yeah, I don't know, man. It's just, I don't know. I'm just so disappointed. I love football. I love watching the Falcons. I watch them as much or more as I do the Seahawks, and so they've definitely become a second team to me that I really enjoy watching, but I can't figure it out.
Time to start questioning. Is the brotherhood dead? Is it dead? Yeah. Brotherhood might be dead.
I was talking about on the radio show on Sunday. I said, I'm not a Steve Sarkisian believer whatsoever. I've seen him work as a head coach many, 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 many years with Washington, and dude's garbage. I mean, he's just a garbage play caller. And I was shocked that he got the pro job. I'm sure that coach called the Seahawks coach and, asked him for the reference because, he knows Sarkisian so well from USC. So, but yeah, I'll never understand that. But eventually this keeps up. We may be headed down a coaching change. I don't think it's going to happen this year, but if it continues into the beginning of next year, we may see an in-season coaching change, which is very unlike Arthur Blank.
The thing about it, it's hard to change our offensive coordinator again because then that's another year of learning how to run the playbook.
Well, I think I told Phil, I think it was what didn't I say? You know that decision's really going to be on Matt Ryan. If he's not comfortable with Sarkisian, I think Sarkisian's gone. Do you agree with that, Phil?
Yeah, because you're running out of time. You know, you're really running out of time.
The window's closing for all the core players. Window's closing. I mean, Matt Ryan, he still has a lot of years left. But that window of him being great.
2 years before he starts slowing down.
How long can you continue to waste his years? I mean, it's frustrating. You know, you're not going to find a franchise quarterback like him, you know, and then to be just wasting his time. But my next question is, how much of a letdown has this season been, especially with the Super Bowl being played here in Atlanta, Phil?
Yeah, this was an absolute letdown. I know y'all seen our season previews and all that. I really thought this was going to be the year where the Falcons put it all together. I mean, you have top 5 talent on both sides of the ball. You have the Super Bowl at home, which should have been that should have been all the extra motivation you need. Could you imagine winning a Super Bowl in your hometown in front of pretty much your home crowd? So this, I think, out of any of the failed seasons, which it seems to be every other year with the Falcons that somehow goes astray, this one is the worst to me. This one is the worst.
How much of a letdown do you think, Daric?
Disappointed, but not surprised. I mean, got the championship, perfect opportunity in Atlanta. Why not miss the playoffs? I mean,
yeah. To me, I'm going to say I'm not surprised. I mean, I sat here and I told Phil I didn't see it at the beginning of the year. I didn't see it in the offseason. I thought it would be a stretch to get to 9 wins. And I almost, when we did our preseason rankings on what we thought the record was going to be, I almost said 8-8. I just didn't see it this year. They have what my biggest thing that I said was no depth, and they still have no depth. They can't overcome any injuries. They're doing really, really well on hitting in the first 2 rounds of the draft, but when you get into 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rounds, you gotta draft depth, and they're not hitting on those late round draft picks. So once these core guys go down, there's not that next guy up, and so This is kind of going just as I expected. It is a letdown in the sense that with the Super Bowl being played here, you would think that they would have come out, and prove everybody wrong, or especially when they, I thought for sure getting embarrassed by Cleveland was going to be the turnaround point for them. I thought, that's got to be your lowest of lows right there. And then so I expected Matt Ryan to really, pull leadership and get this team together, and they've just spiraled and spiraled and spiraled and spiraled. But one thing that we really haven't talked about that I think has to be an issue is when is Thomas Dimitroff? When does he get held accountable? I mean, what has he done?
I mean, people wanted his head a few years ago.
Yeah.
Then he made that run. Then we made that run, and it cleaned everything up. So he still has a few years.
Well, Arthur Blank is just so loyal. I mean, he's just the loyal guy. I mean, I can't. I was shocked. I was honestly shocked when he got rid of Mike Smith. I just think it came down to having to choose between Thomas and having to choose between Mike Smith. And he went, and we saw how bad Mike Smith really is, being down in Tampa Bay. But it's just horrible. I mean, I feel bad for Falcons fans, but it's funny, that we're about to jump into something about the fans. As a fan yourself, Daric, how embarrassing is it to see the stadium getting filled up by opposing teams' fans, and what is causing this?
I mean, this ain't the first time. I mean, it happens with the Hawks sometimes when they play a certain team, but the Falcons, it's even worse. I mean, I don't know from experience, but from what I've seen in pictures, and you can hear it on the TV of the opposing fans chanting their team and stuff.
Uh-huh. Well, it just, I notice it, obviously. I don't know if my wife's in chat, but I'm always telling her that, every single Sunday I'm like, it's crazy how much that opposing fans are able to have access to tickets to get in, and the normal comment as well, oh, Dallas travels, or oh, Green Bay fans travel. Dude, there was 10,000 Baltimore Ravens fans in that building on Sunday. I could literally hear them. It was a sea of purple every time that they went into the empty stadium. It was embarrassingly empty right at game time, more so than normal people that are late to the game. There was nobody in the stands on Sunday. But Phil, what do you think, man? As a fan, how embarrassing is it to see the stadium getting filled, by opposing team fans?
Yeah, I mean, it's embarrassing, but it's management's fault. You put these PSLs on there, you priced out the normal fans, and then so it's multiple levels to it. So you price out the fans. You have the best stadium in the world. Opposing fans, let's say they want to go to one road game each year. They're going to be like, I want to go see that new stadium in Atlanta, and they'll pay whatever price. You have a Falcons fan, we're on a losing streak. I'm not going to pay $200 to go see a mediocre team. You have that, and then you have all the season ticket holders at this point just trying to recoup some of their losses, so they're reselling. You have everybody reselling. Of course, most of the reselling for the price they're going for is only people willing to pay that is going to be opposing fans. So it all goes back to the PSLs, which was not a good idea in the city of Atlanta. You have, it's the right way to put this, if you took a cross-section of the Falcons fan base, I'd say it's way more diverse economically and race-wise than if you took like Indianapolis or Green Bay or some of the, for whiter cities.
You almost got to borrow $35 to go to a game these days. You know what I'm saying? But I agree with you. PSLs 100% are causing this. I watched the press conference when the tickets first came out for the Mercedes-Benz, and they talked about PSLs, and these were to avoid like StubHub and stuff like that, buying up groups of tickets. But you go on StubHub and they have so many blocks of these tickets, so they're willing to pay the PSLs to get them. And it didn't price them out. But you say that people, the resale market might be, people not wanting to go and selling their tickets to the opposing fan. The problem is when you're winning, I believe that. But when you're losing money putting your tickets up on resale. And so you're essentially just taking whatever you can get for them. And so fickle fans here sometimes in Atlanta that just give up supporting in the middle of the season, put their tickets up and are willing to give them out cheap. So you're able to bring in opposing fans, especially Marietta area around there, big military, and so you've got a big diverse fan base. You see that a lot. In Seattle, when they were losing, you would start to see a lot of opposing fans because it was a military town. So you have a lot of cowboy fans, a lot of, where other military installations are. And those tickets start to get cheaper and stuff. But when they were winning, you couldn't get a ticket. And so you never saw an opposing fan in your building. It definitely has a lot to do with losing, more than I think that we don't want to believe that the fans won't go because they're losing, but I think we know that that's really the reason. So, but speaking of losing, let's get to the Atlanta Hawks, man. But the difference is we want the Atlanta Hawks to lose. So, bring us that big draft pick, but they've only played 2 games since our last show, both losses, one to Oklahoma City Thunder, who I hate, 124-109. I think the theme of this show should just be, hey, every team Bob hates, we played. And one to Golden State, 128-111.
You can go ahead and add tonight into there.
What's that one? What was that? Final?
Well, I mean, it's not final, but I mean, it's a loss.
Oh, we're losing that game too, huh?
Yeah.
That's not good, especially
76-54 just started the third quarter.
Woo! How did you guys think Trae Young handled himself against the two elite point guards in Russell Westbrook and Steph Curry, Phil?
Yeah, well, he didn't have a game to remember in his homecoming in Oklahoma City, which is unfortunate because, his family was there. The crowd gave him a nice reception and warm-ups, but he didn't have a good game. And, that's going to happen. He had a pretty good game inside the arc against Golden State.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up with like 18 points, but he was 0 for 6 or 0 for 5 from 3. And then he's not having a good game tonight. But overall, he handled himself really good. He's still, no matter what, there's nothing that will crack his confidence. He's going to play the game the way he knows how to play the game, no matter what. He's going to try to find his teammates. He's going to take a few threes that you're going to be like, come on, man. But he's doing okay. He's still the second best rookie despite all his shooting struggles. He's still been the second best rookie in the league. Of course, we all know who's been number one. Luka Doncic is just out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, they'll be tied together. They'll be tied together 1-2 for the rest of their career. That's just the way it is, But they one difference between with Luka got to walk into a better situation. He's not having to leave
last year because of injuries.
So it's hard to compare. It's hard to compare the two when you got two different teams. I think Dallas is 2 years ahead of Atlanta. I mean, they've gone younger too, but they got Dennis Smith Jr. So they're a good couple of years ahead of the Hawks. So it's kind of unfair to put Trae, in that difference because he wishes he had guys to pass it to like Luka does, and he wishes he could pass to Luka, So, but how did you think he handled himself against Westbrook and Curry, Daric?
I mean, he did what he's going to do. He's still getting comfortable into the system. I mean, look at the team he's playing with.
Yeah. I
mean, who else is doing what he's been doing with this team?
He's still like top 5. There's not many players in the league that could come on this team and be top 5 in assists.
Yeah,
the way we shoot the ball, the way we mishandle the ball in the post.
Now he does need to pick up his shot, but I'm still not worried about it. It'll come along at some point.
Well, it's just simple. Simply put, how would this team be if Dennis was still our point guard as compared to how would this team be now that Trae runs this offense? Trae is so crisp on passing that it's almost too crisp. I mean, these guys still aren't ready for what's coming their way because he's a snap decision passer, and they still haven't quite got. I noticed it's like. His turnovers are like minor turnovers. Like if they just would have turned a split second quicker or just rolled off their fingertips so it's hard to say, well, he has a lot of turnovers. Yeah, he has a lot of turnovers, but man, they're not all his fault. But to me, again, my argument with him has been the same out throughout the year. He needs to get closer to the 3-point line. His 3-point shot is off, and he's still shooting way beyond the 3-point line. I'm like, and especially it bothers me more when he has an open shot where he could just step up and bury a 3, but no, he'll shoot it at the half court line every time. I think he thinks the 3-point line is the half court line. I don't know. Sometimes it just, I'm like, dude, just move up, man. You're missing short. Or you're missing just off to the right, move up a little bit, but that's not his game. You guys, he's a post up and shoot guy. He was that way at Oklahoma. I just don't see that he's gonna change that at all. So, to me, it's just he needs help. I mean, we'll get to some rumors here in the segment after the next, and it was a kind of an interesting one I heard today. But let's get to Taurean Prince. He was injured. He injured his ankle. Was there a ligament tear, Phil?
I don't think there was a ligament tear. I have to
remember. I know I know something with his ankle. He was down. It looked pretty bad. But I saw something about a ligament, but I don't know if it was a strain or a tear. But
yeah, not a tear because he's expected back in about 3 weeks. So here it is, right?
Yeah. So it looks like he'll be out for multiple games. Phil, do you think the team will improve in his absence?
I wouldn't say they'll improve, but it'll get some guys in there that weren't able. It's a ligament sprain, bone bruise, and soft tissue inflammation. But still doesn't sound fun. But
Yeah.
get to see a little bit more of like Justin Anderson. Maybe we'll see some Tyler Dorsey. Guys I've been wanting to see what they got. And we'll see, because I really think we might see Torian Prince on the trading block eventually. I don't know if Travis Slink thinks we'll be able to, really have him be our third guy. He might try to get something better than that. He's
a big name, one of the biggest names we have. So as far as trading,
his development so far, it's not what I wanted to see this year.
He's regressed. He's regressed. I always thought that Bembry would be the one that would tick me off the most and regress the most. But man, Torian has all the tools and just doesn't seem to put them together. But Daric, man, do you think that him being out, you think the team will improve any?
No, probably worse. Probably gonna be worse. I mean, he brings offense. He still brings that offensive power to this team. So I mean, after looking at the score, you can just tell that we're missing his offense.
Someone's got to step up. When someone gets hurt like that, the next guy's got to step up. Tyler Dorsey, especially, this is his time to shine. He's been, trying to get minutes and stuff like that, and hasn't been able to find his way onto the court that much. So here's his chance to shine. And, again, with him being on the block, there's a good chance, that Tyler Dorsey may get more minutes. But let's speaking of him being on the block, I read today that rumors are the Hawks may have interest in, I'm going to butcher this name too. It's Knicks guard Frank Nittel.
Whoa,
Frank Nittelinker. I don't know what his last name. I looked up the pronunciation and I still screwed it up. But yeah, Niki Linky or something like that.
Wilkins now.
Do you think he would fit into this team, Daric?
No. Stay away. Please stay away from him.
Really? You don't think he's misused in New York?
No. I'm good on him. He can play defense. Yeah, I'll give him that. But
that's what we need. That's the biggest thing we need. Oh, man, a defensive guard.
Whose spot is he taking?
Anybody. He plays defense.
I want to see Trey in a few off-ball sets. I want us to have that kind of point guard, kind of behind Trey, but stagger the minutes a little bit. So, I'd take it.
We don't have anybody else that can create plays. So Trae Young is having to take all his threes off the dribble. That's part of his shooting struggles right there.
I think Travis Schlenk should be banging down the New York Knicks doors to get to him. A good defensive guard, very underused in New York. They, it's clear that they've lost confidence in him. That's obviously concerning. Why are the Knicks? But then again, the Knicks are such a disaster franchise that nothing surprises me.
They've drafted well the last 2 years.
Yeah. I would just have to say, again, I think he would be great in this team. He'd bring a defensive young guy. I think that him paired with Trey could be interesting. Another guy to run the court with him. So for me, I'm hoping, but I hope it'd be Torian going. So just be interesting to see. And there's going to be, I think it was like 6 to 9 teams that are interested in him. So the odds that the Hawks get him would be slim to not happening. But I just thought it was interesting that the Hawks were mentioned in that rumor.
What about Markelle Fultz?
You know me, man. I love Markelle Fultz. I mean, I seen him at his best. I don't buy the 76ers 76ers version of this story. What did he end up getting? It was thoracic.
I don't even know.
They said what it was today. It was like I'll look it up real quick, but it's like thoracic syndrome or something.
With your nerves in your shoulders.
Yeah, it was. It was like a nerve in the shoulder. It was thoracic outlet syndrome, and what it is basically essentially the blood flow in your like in your shoulder and stuff. And so he's going to rehab that and stuff. But to me, there's just no way that Markelle Fultz's shot that he's lost so much confidence in his shot that he's shooting like that. I don't buy it. So especially after seeing, him at Washington, seeing him many games, I don't buy it.
Do you think him and Philadelphia's relationship is repairable, or is it cracked beyond?
No way. No way. He's done. You think he's done, Daric?
Yeah, I think that really.
Yeah, there's just no way. There's just no way. When you've lost faith in the training staff of the team that you play for, that to me is the biggest relationship to fracture a player from a team, because especially when it's an injury that he's claiming is misdiagnosed. So then you've lost trust in the franchise of the 76ers. So there's no way he plays another game for Philadelphia. I would love to have him here.
I think he'll need some time in the G League. Send him down a few games, let him get some confidence.
Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's a confidence issue, Phil. I'm telling you, man. Look at the way he's shooting. Go look at his video since he's been in Philadelphia, and then go back and look at his video when he played for the Huskies. And there's just no way you've lost your shot that bad unless you're hurt. I mean, he's clearly making up for, something being physically wrong. I don't know. I mean, then again, man, I'm not him. I don't know. It could be all in his head. I've seen baseball players that get the yips that I think that it's, that I think there's something wrong, and it is all mental. You just don't know. I mean, but I do think a change of scenery is definitely going to be good for him no matter what. So, but again, to me, he's worth a flyer for any team. What do you got to lose besides, a 12th roster spot?
Right.
To me, he's better than, when he's on, he's definitely better than the 12th person on your bench.
Well, because, I mean, he's on that rookie contract, so you won't have to trade him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's no risk, all reward, so especially at that, you put on his rookie contract, especially with that money. With
where we are in the rebuild, we can afford to take risks, and you have this because the more risks you take, the more likely you are to hit on one of those risks.
The problem is Philadelphia would never release him, so it's I think that other teams have better trade chips to trade to them other than what we could give.
Nobody's given up anything useful.
Well, you think he's too much of damaged goods to get anybody that would give up somebody?
Nah. No, unless you're a tanking team, nobody's going to take that risk right now.
Yeah, I mean, again, if it was an opportunity for him to come here, I would be more than happy to have him come here. But I'll tell you what, if he fixes his shot, we know he can run up and down the court with Trey. So that would be a fun. I could just see him, Trey, and Tyler Dorsey running up and down the court together. That'd be a fun little trio to watch. And then you add in whoever they draft next year, and well, that could immediately be a top three type, top three guys building up, as youngsters. So it's gonna be interesting. That's an interesting story to see how that one's gonna play out. But let's jump to you, the main man, the Kennesaw State. Let's jump to them real quick. They are a playoff team. It's very rare to see around here, it seems. So let's talk about Kennesaw State. They beat the big school of Wofford or whoever they are.
Wofford Terriers.
Yeah, 13-10, and they play South Dakota State Saturday. Just give us a quick game preview and what you think the score prediction is going to be.
Yeah, so in the battle of triple option, they prevailed in the Mud Bowl in the nasty, dirty, cold rain Saturday. And now they take on the number 5 team, South Dakota State. in what is also going to be a nasty, cold, dirty, freezing cold, rainy Saturday here in Kennesaw. This is to go to the Final Four. This is an Elite Eight matchup, but it's going to be rough. South Dakota State is very good. I think they might actually be favored in this game.
Yeah.
And thankfully, with the weather being as bad as it's going to be, we don't really throw the ball to begin with. So it will be kept on the ground, which will be an advantage to us because South Dakota State is a high-flying offense versus us. We throw the ball maybe 5-10 times a game, 10 times max.
I was looking at the weather, and there could be some flakes flying during that game too. I heard Saturday night there may be a little system coming in that might have some snow flying through that game. I don't know if it'll make it this far west, but
far down we should be okay. But like Charlotte, parts of Tennessee, they're gonna get the storm of the century.
Yeah, it was looking pretty big. But I want to ask you a real quick question. AJC ripped on Kennesaw State fans in an article. I don't know if you've seen this article. I may have to dig it up for you, but they ripped on your fan base. Says that they're just not getting people as being a playoff team as they are. The fan base doesn't support football. Do you think the fans?
We had almost 20,000 at the SunTrust. The weather was awful.
Yeah, that's what I said. Man, when you're in a small, I've never been to the Kennesaw Stadium, so honestly, I don't. I don't know what the venue is like there, but
it's a nice venue. It's nice.
Yeah. I mean, it's just again when it's pouring rain and it was just miserable on Saturday. I mean, I was
going out there to see triple option versus triple option and 40 game when I had about 8 projects and 30. Cause you got to keep in mind this final week's too. So it is what it is. Don't expect it to be better Saturday because the weather is going to be the exact same. So I mean, it is.
Want to give us a score prediction? You think Kennesaw State's going to pull it off again, or you think they're done?
South Dakota 31, Kennesaw State 24.
Yeah, I've seen South Dakota State play before. I think they're better than Kennesaw State. I just don't. You got it a little bit closer than I did. I'm thinking like 31-10. But it's all dependent on the weather. Wet game favors Kennesaw State, no doubt about it. So it could be another grinder like that. It could be another 13-10 grinder. The worse the weather is, the better chance Kennesaw State has of winning this game.
We have the ability, but it seems that we make too many mental mistakes, like missed tackles, untimely penalties, and bad reads on pitches sometimes. But when we're clicking, we're clicking.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. But hey, they're in the playoffs. That's a start. Getting there is half the battle. So, but let's get into some bias though to end the night off. We'll start with some controversy. We all saw the Kareem Hunt video, and face it didn't look good, man. I mean, he was immediately released by the Chiefs for lying and suspended by the NFL. But now he is under investigation for 2 other major assaults. You buying or selling Kareem Hunt playing another NFL game, Daric?
I'm going to buy. He'll play. He'll get picked up by somebody. Somebody will be desperate enough to pick him up. Yeah, I think Dennis Sharp, I think it was today, he said something. I think everybody should watch the video what he said because everybody calling for his job for Kareem to never play again. But then he said, look at these other jobs. They're doing the same stuff. So are you saying they should be fired and not employed again? Same thing. But I think that's interesting.
Do you how many games do you think he'll be suspended overall?
What was Ray Rice?
Essentially a year.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to speculate. I mean, again, when it comes to domestic violence, or I mean, it wasn't really domestic violence, but it was a man hitting a female.
It was more of an assault.
Yeah, it's still the NFL who botched the investigation again, which is not surprising to me in the least bit. It now wants to focus off them, and so Kareem is about to get an example made out of him. Phil, you buying or selling Kareem Hunt playing another NFL game?
Did he kneel? If he didn't kneel, then he gonna play again.
Yeah, we talked about that on Sunday, man. I agree. Let's ban the guy for being on his knee, but we're hitting people out here, hitting women, and we're good to go for.
He'll be back. I was surprised. Surprised nobody picked him up already. You know how it goes.
Nah, they gonna wait. They gonna
Surprised one of the commanders ain't pick him up.
There's a lot. There's a lot of teams that would love to have him. I'm selling as well, unfortunately. I mean, he's the difference to me between him and Colin is Colin was talented, but he wasn't one of currently the best at his position. Kareem Hunt is one of the best at his position right now.
Yeah.
Young, exciting talent. I don't buy his story where he apologized. I thought the interview was as scripted as I've ever seen one on when he did it on Sunday. So I just don't buy, I just don't buy that apology. I think he's getting a year suspension. I mean, I think he's going to get made an example of. It'll be 6. I think had it just been the female only, I think he would have gotten 6 to 10 games alone for that. The other 2 things, while they're not settled, he's not getting taken off the exempt list until those 2 trials are done now because of this. So yeah, I'm thinking he may be gone all of next year as well. And I'm fully expecting that to happen. So that's going to be definitely an interesting story to be keeping up on. But Urban Meyer, good old Urban Meyer, he announced that he is retiring after what is sure to be an ass whooping by my Washington Huskies in the Rose Bowl. He says he is fully retiring from coaching this time. Buy or sell at Urban Meyer being done coaching, Phil?
He'll be back.
When is the next big job, huh?
Yeah, wait till I don't know, Auburn or Florida again. I could see him going back to Florida eventually.
I'm going to tell you where he's going when it's my turn, but Daric, what do you think, man? Are you buying Urban Meyer being done this time?
No, I'm gonna go ahead and sell. He's gonna be back probably sooner than later.
Yeah, I'm definitely selling, and I think that he wants that Notre Dame job. I think I've heard that that's his dream job, and so he'll wait for the struggle of Notre Dame after being undefeated this year. And when they're ready to get rid of their coach, he'll swoop in with that. That gives him a couple of years to work out his health problems or whatever he has going on, his fake mental issues.
Heart or blood pressure?
That dude has issues with every part of his body. It's funny because the last game that I watched with him when he was on TV, he must have grabbed his crotch about 35 times on camera in that game. Did you guys see that? It was hilarious, man. I mean, it was like every time the camera was on him, he was fondling himself.
He'll come back.
It was borderline Ohio State porn.
He'll start to struggle, and then he'll complain about his health issues again. Same old. Got to continue the cycle.
Yeah, again, he'll be back. I think we all know that. But this one I got coming up, I just read about it today, so it's pretty recent. Kevin Durant said in a Bleacher Report article that he doesn't think LeBron James will be able to get another superstar to play with him in LA because he is difficult to play with. Buy or sell LeBron James being difficult, Daric?
He said he was difficult to play with?
Yeah, he was. It was difficult to play with LeBron.
I don't want to play with him, blah, 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 a whole bunch of other blah.
I thought he was just blaming it on the spotlight that he brings the media and stuff. But anyways.
Well, that falls into being difficult to play with. I mean,
it wasn't his fault though. But anyways, a superstar, no. An all-star, possibly. I don't think any of the young guys want to sit behind him like Kyrie didn't want to sit behind him. He wanted his own show. I think a lot of stars like Kawhi Leonard, you can see he wants to be on his own. He said if he goes to LA, it's most likely the Clippers. So they want to have their own spotlight and not be shadowed by LeBron James.
Yeah, Phil, are you buying or selling LeBron being difficult?
I mean, I'll buy it, but I want to sell KD's comments in general. He just sounds like a whiny little baby.
Yeah, KD has no room to talk about the movie.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny that everybody that he has played with, has he's either had to break away from. He couldn't work it out with Harden, couldn't work it out with Westbrook, couldn't work it out with Draymond. You know what? Going back to Draymond real quick, when Durant was shooting free throws against the Hawks and the crowd behind him, oh man, I was laughing so hard. That was such a funny chant. So did you see that, Phil, when they were chanting like Draymond hates you or something like that?
Yeah, this shout out to the 6-man section.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually gonna sell that, and for the reason being that LeBron has played with many superstars before and won championships with many superstars before. So if he was so difficult to play with, I don't think Dwayne Wade would have played with them. They wouldn't have had that team. If he was difficult to play with, he wouldn't have won Cleveland a championship with essentially nobody. So I just don't buy that whatsoever. But I mean, you never know. It is tough to play, with a LeBron James or anything like that, because he does like to essentially, cover the, be in control of the game and stuff like that. So it may be difficult to play with him, but you just never know. I'm not buying it though at all, because again, he's won championships, and I think other guys that haven't won championships will jump at the end to play with him. But I think that's going to wrap it up for us, guys. I mean, we pretty much covered the gauntlet today. There was a lot of news to talk about this week. So, Phil, who you shouting out to end this night?
Shout out my classmates. We have struggled, grinded. Whew. It's been a long time.
It's done, though, baby. It's done.
I still got one more to finish with.
Oh, do you? I thought you were done.
I mean, I'm done with testing and everything, but I still got another project due Monday that I need to finish.
Who you shouting out, Daric?
Everybody watching, man.
You're shouting out NyQuil tonight.
Yeah.
Appreciate you jumping on with us, even though you're feeling under the weather. So we hold down the fort. That's what we do around here. I'm going to shout out. You two. We really got a good thing going on here. Phil, I'm rough week having to be testing and stuff. I know getting over that final hurdle is a big thing, but you're able to work your way through it, and you made it here. And now we go on to some bigger and better things. But I just want to end on a kind of a breaking news front. This Sunday, we have been asked to take over Game Time Radio. So E, who runs the Game Time Radio, is the host. He isn't going to be there this week, and so he told Phil and myself to hold down the fort. So I'm going to be hosting Game Time Radio this week, Sunday 6 to 7. Phil will be right there with me, and we actually have a new guy that's going to jump on with us that is really, really, really good. His name's Jansen Harris. I think what is it, Just Good Network, Phil? Yeah, Just Good Network. He's very knowledgeable on sports. Will be a good host with us. It should be a fun Sunday. And then I'll be joining the guys now on a regular basis on Sunday nights as a co-host for the show. So, Atlanta Sports HQ is growing big time right now. So, we're getting out there, and it's all we can really ask for, being such, being a smaller size, just make ourselves bigger. So, so shout out to the guys on the website, and let's work. Let's get ourselves bigger and get ourselves going again. But think that's going to be it, gents. What do you say, huh? Have a good night, everybody.
Take care.